In this video, I'm going to lay out for you the exact order of construction for any garment. Yes, so you can, the order of which anything can be sewn together, and better yet, how you can start teaching yourself this system and how to apply it to all of your future products so you can get better and better at your sewing. Welcome, my friends. My name is Evelyn Wood, and if you are just here for the first time, well, welcome. Around here we do everything vintage sewing skills to help our modern day sewing. And so that means really understanding what we're doing in our sewing so you can really learn to create whatever it is that you want. So if that sounds like what you're interested in, do hit the subscribe button because I have so many more wonderful videos that I know that you'll really like. So those of you following along, if I sound a little bit unusual today, I have been a little bit unwell, so I might be a little bit nasally. I apologize. So maybe you already have figured out the key to the order of construction to sew things together, or maybe you've just seen the title and are just so interested in this. This came about because I'm currently I'm creating the biggest project that I have yet for Vintage Sewing School and all my students there. That's where I teach online. And it is a sew-along workshop where I take my students through, they can pick any pattern. We go through a skirt. So they can pick any skirt pattern and I show them how to sew it together. Any skirt pattern. I haven't given them a pattern. How could I possibly show them how to sew something together if I don't even give them a pattern, right? That is because everything follows a natural order of construction when we sew our garments together. And one thing that I really often get asked is when students come to me, I think we all have this vision when we start sewing, is that we really we dream of being able to create our own patterns and make our own styles. One of the first questions that I always ask after, of course, that's amazing, you should definitely go for that, is though that can you sew a pattern together without the instruction sheets? And more often than not, I get, no, of course not, as the answer. And then I think you can see where we're going. If you can't sew a pattern without instructions, if you make your own pattern, it doesn't come with instructions. So you need to be able to know how to sew patterns together intuitively before you can really even start delving into the world of making your own patterns. See how this all links up and sort of one thing flows onto another? Sewing is so fun, right? Okay, so of course every garment is different, every style is different, and there's always, exceptions to the rules. But generally this is the order to sew garments together. And I don't like to think about it as in an order of this seam or that seam, but more the collection of things that you're doing so you can start identifying it. And then I'll show you how to also start learning this yourself and start applying it and how you can do that yourself. Let's start with going over the order of construction. Number one is any internal features. So this is where you will make any internal features to flat pieces of your fabric still. So this includes darts, tucks, pleats, sometimes zips, if they're, internally creating flat pieces. But this is where you'll do all of those things that are just needed to be constructed, and they are a feature of just that one single cut piece of pattern. Second is creating what I call your outside shell. This is where you start making your construction seams of your garment. So think side seams, princess seams, shoulder seams, all of these types of construction seams to create the shell of the garment. And this can also sometimes include zips because it's easier to do at this point as well, if it is needed to actually construct one of these shell pieces. And so you think about, let's say, a dress with sleeves. You would do each section, construct the shell, so you'd the shell of the skirt, the shell of the bodice, the shell of the sleeves, and then they go together from there. So you slowly constructing the shell of the garment and we're putting it all together. The third is openings and fastenings. So this is where you'll mostly do things like zips, do button extensions, buttonholes, buttons, plackets, all of these types of openings that you'll need to do before we do the next step. So, you know, think button extensions down the front of a button-up shirt, plackets on the front of a cuffs. All of these types of things are what we do next. Which leads us to the fourth, is our finishings. So this is where you'll find you'll do all of the finishing products to finish the raw edges of your garment. So things like collars, armhole edges, cuffs, all of these finishings are what we'll do at this point. Bindings, facings, all these types of things go in here because we're finishing off all of our edges that we have remaining still. And which of course leads us to number 5, hems. Absolutely, hems are always last, although it is a well-known fact that I would say, what do you think? At least 50% of all social media posts of people wearing something they've created include the words, I still need to do the hem. Because people get so excited because at that point it's basically a finished garment and we always post pictures before we finish the hem. Let me know, do you do that too? So let's talk about why this order exists and how you can learn. So the order of construction is there because you need to do some things before you can do the rest. So think of a button extension. So we have this that folds around and you need all your buttonholes here. That needs to be finished before you could possibly put your collar on top over the top. There is no way you could do your collar and then try and do this afterwards. It doesn't work. The same thing why hems are always last is because you need the shell. Like imagine a skirt, you need that skirt sewn together before you could possibly fold up your hem to make it look nice and proper. And so the order is there to maintain beautiful garments and so that everything is done in that correct order. And so that's why I think about it in a collection of the things that need to be done, because this is how you can start teaching yourself. So this is how I taught myself and how I first started to learn. Really, like, the pattern instructions almost put it there for you. It's just a case of you starting to think about it in that way and that you want to learn it. So you'll find that each of these little boxes here on the pattern instructions are these different areas that I've just talked about. You'll find that they just repeat and repeat the same over and over. And so what I would suggest to you is to, every time you get a new pattern, write it down. Literally write it down. So go through and have a look. Look what you're doing first. Oh look, we're doing all the darts first. How about that? And then we're doing the side seams and shoulder seams. Then, oh look, then we got to the facings and we're finishing off the necklines and doing all of those edge. And we're doing all that same to the sleeve here because the sleeve's going on after as you know, creating the shell. And then of course, hems always last. So these boxes here that you see in your pattern instructions are generally those things that you can start writing down. So write down the order of every pattern that you get to. And then here's what you do after this. Once you have done a few that you think, I see the pattern here. Well, that is when you get your pattern. And you can just do this without like making it up, right? You can just do this for practice. Get a pattern. Have a look at the pattern pieces even. And maybe even look at the front here and see the pattern pieces and what's going on. But don't look at the instructions yet. Have a guess. Write it down. Now, I don't mean instructions as, you know, sew to this dot and then put this on. No. I mean as in what order you're doing things in. What will you do first? Will I sew the side seams? Will I then do the zip? Will I do then the waistband? Will I do then the hems at the end? And write the order of the things that you're doing and see if you got it right or not. Because when you start to be able to work this out in your brain, that's when you can really start to create anything. This helps if you want to start refashioning garments because you need an order, a process in which order to do them in. You'll be able to start making changes to your pattern and making your own patterns because you'll already know the process in which garments are sewn together. So, hey, you've got this, right? It's all about understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. When you know why you're doing the darts first before anything else and why the hem is last and why. It generally is, that's how we really start to learn to create. And I want that for you too. So if you are interested in learning to sew the most perfect skirt from any pattern, come consider joining me at vintagesewingschool.com. I invite you to join me there and a community of students who are all really there to help each other and support each other. You've got 24 access to lessons online to learn just this, the skill, the art of dressmaking, so you can learn to create anything that you want. There's links down below in the description box. So let me know, have you already figured out the order of construction? Do you think about it like I do, or is there something else? Let us know, because the more that we share our information, the more that we all learn our sewing. Like this video if you liked it, and until next time, my friends, happy sewing. Bye.